In the beginning, there was a word, a whisper that echoed through the void, bringing forth the universe and all its wonders. The book of Genesis is more than just a collection of ancient stories, it is the heartbeat of faith for millions around the world. It holds the key to understanding the very essence of humanity, our origins, our struggles, and our connection to the divine. Genesis unfolds like a grand tapestry, woven with threads of creation, love, loss, and redemption. It begins with the powerful story of creation, where the world springs to life in a beautiful burst of color and light. God speaks, and existence responds. Stars twinkle in the night sky, oceans swell with life, and the earth blooms with vibrant plants. Each element is crafted with intention, each creature imbued with purpose. This account is not just a history lesson, it's a profound reminder that we are part of something greater, a divine plan that encompasses all living beings. As we journey through Genesis, we encounter the first humans, Adam and Eve, placed in the lush Garden of Eden. Their story captures the essence of innocence and the heart-wrenching nature of choice. In that paradise, they walk with God, feeling the warmth of His presence, the love that surrounds them. But the temptation of knowledge leads to their downfall, and they are cast out, forever changed. Their pain resonates deeply, echoing through the ages, as each of us grapples with our own choices and the consequences that follow. It is a tale that speaks to the human condition, our desire for freedom, and the cost that comes with it. The stories of Genesis are filled with characters who become both heroes and flawed individuals. We meet Cain and Abel, brothers whose love is shattered by jealousy and rage. The tragic outcome serves as a poignant reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human heart. Yet, in the midst of this darkness, there is always a glimmer of hope. Noah emerges as a figure of righteousness, chosen to save humanity from destruction. His faithfulness shines through the storm, and his story of salvation speaks to our longing for redemption. As we turn the pages, we encounter the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, who embody the complexities of faith. Abraham's journey from Ur to the Promised Land illustrates the courage to follow divine calling, leaving behind the familiar for the unknown. His unwavering trust in God inspires us to hold on to faith even when the path seems uncertain. Isaac, the child of promise, faces trials that test his spirit. Jacob's transformation from a deceiver to a nation's father highlights the power of struggle and the possibility of change. Joseph's journey from betrayal to forgiveness reveals the strength of resilience and the beauty of reconciliation. Genesis does not shy away from the messy realities of life. It embraces the tears, the heartaches, and the moments of joy that define our existence. The narratives reflect the tapestry of relationships, love, betrayal, forgiveness, and hope that shape our lives. Each story resonates with our own experiences, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. The characters are relatable, flawed, and deeply human, inviting us to see ourselves in their journeys. The importance of Genesis in the Judeo-Christian tradition cannot be overstated. It serves as the foundation for understanding God's relationship with humanity. The themes of creation, covenant, and redemption resonate throughout the scriptures, echoing in the hearts of believers. Genesis teaches us that we are created in the image of God, endowed with dignity and worth. This understanding shapes our interactions with others, urging us to treat each person with love and respect. In Jewish tradition, Genesis is more than a historical account. It is a sacred text that guides the moral and ethical compass of the community. It provides the framework for understanding the covenant between God and His people. Through the stories of the patriarchs, the Jewish faith finds its roots, drawing strength and inspiration from the trials and triumphs of those who came before. For Christians, Genesis sets the stage for the coming of Christ. The themes of sin and redemption echo throughout the Bible, culminating in the ultimate act of love on the cross. The stories of Genesis are a prelude to the story of salvation, where God's desire for relationship with humanity unfolds through history. The emotional weight of Genesis lies in its portrayal of the human experience. It reminds us of the fragility of life, the power of choices, and the longing for connection with the divine. Each narrative is a mirror reflecting our own hopes and fears, inviting us to ponder our place in the world. The struggles of Adam and Eve, the pain of Cain and Abel, the faith of Abraham, and the resilience of Joseph resonate with our own journeys. Genesis teaches us that even in the darkest moments, there is the promise of light. The stories invite us to reflect on our own lives, to seek understanding and meaning amidst the chaos. The emotions evoked by these tales serve as a reminder that we are all part of a larger narrative, one woven by a loving Creator who yearns for our hearts. As we embark on this exploration of Genesis, let us approach each story with open hearts, ready to feel the weight of its messages. The book is not merely an ancient text, it is a living testament to the power of faith, love, and the enduring spirit of humanity. The tales of Genesis resonate with the cry of our souls, reminding us that we are all seekers of truth, longing for connection, and striving for understanding in a world filled with uncertainty. In the cradle of civilization, where rivers flowed like veins through the earth, ancient cultures thrived, each one crafting its own narrative of existence. The land was alive with stories, beliefs, and traditions that shaped the lives of people. The book of Genesis did not emerge in a vacuum, it was born amidst a rich tapestry of ancient Near Eastern cultures, each thread woven with tales of creation, gods, and the mysteries of life. As the sun rose over Mesopotamia, the birthplace of humanity, city-states flourished along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians built great empires, their voices echoing through time. In these lands, myths were not merely tales, they were the lifeblood of society, expressing the hopes, fears, and values of the people. Each city had its own patron deities, temples adorned with intricate carvings, and priests who communicated with the divine. The stories of creation, the exploits of gods, and the struggles of humanity filled the hearts of the people, binding them together in shared beliefs. Among the most famous myths of this region is the Epic of Gilgamesh, a powerful narrative that speaks to the human condition. Gilgamesh, a king searching for immortality, encounters a world where gods and humans intertwine. His journey reflects the quest for meaning in a fleeting existence, mirroring the struggles found in Genesis. Both narratives grapple with the concepts of creation, mortality, and the divine. They offer profound insights into the human experience, showcasing the timeless questions that resonate across cultures and generations. The influence of Mesopotamian myths on the book of Genesis is unmistakable. Many elements of Genesis echo the themes and motifs found in these ancient tales. For instance, the creation stories in Genesis bear similarities to the Enuma Elish, a Babylonian creation myth that describes the emergence of the world from chaos. In both accounts, a divine being brings order to the universe, separating land from sea, light from darkness. Such parallels remind us that Genesis is part of a broader cultural conversation, one that transcends time and place. As we look deeper into the socio-political landscape of the time, we see how these stories served not just as entertainment, but as tools of governance and social cohesion. Rulers often claimed divine favor, using myths to legitimize their authority and connect their reigns to the will of the gods. In a world filled with uncertainty and conflict, these stories provided comfort and stability, reassuring people that there was a greater plan at work. In the midst of this rich cultural backdrop, the Hebrew people emerged, their own story distinct yet influenced by the traditions surrounding them. Genesis reflects their unique relationship with God, showcasing a God who is personal and involved in the lives of individuals. This contrasts with the more distant and capricious deities of the Mesopotamian myths. The God of Genesis walks with Adam and Eve in the garden, speaks to Noah, and calls Abraham into a covenant. This intimate relationship lays the groundwork for a faith that resonates with the deep yearning for connection and belonging. The socio-political context during the time of Genesis also shaped its narratives. The Israelites faced numerous challenges, including exile, oppression, and the struggle to maintain their identity amidst powerful empires. These hardships are woven into the fabric of Genesis, where themes of promise, hope, and redemption emerge from the shadows of despair. The stories of the patriarchs, their trials and triumphs, reflect the struggles of a people seeking to understand their place in the world. Abraham's journey, for instance, symbolizes the courage to step into the unknown, leaving behind the familiar for the promise of a better future. His unwavering faith amidst uncertainty inspires generations to trust in the unseen, reminding us that hope can flourish even in the darkest of times. Isaac's near sacrifice and Jacob's struggles illustrate the complexities of faith and the challenges faced by those chosen to carry forward the divine promise. The historical context of Genesis also reveals the fragility of human relationships. The conflicts between brothers, like Cain and Abel, speak to the age-old struggles of jealousy and rivalry. These stories reflect not only individual choices, but also the societal pressures that can lead to discord. The emotional weight of these narratives resonates with us today, reminding us of our own struggles with relationships and the need for compassion and understanding. In the midst of societal upheaval, Genesis offers a message of hope. The covenant between God and His people shines as a beacon, a promise that despite their circumstances, they are never alone. This divine commitment serves as a reminder that love and grace endure, even when faced with betrayal and hardship. The characters in Genesis experience moments of deep sorrow and joy, reflecting the roller coaster of human emotion. Their journeys remind us that life is a tapestry woven with both light and darkness, and that each thread contributes to the larger picture. As the stories of Genesis unfold, they invite us to connect with our own history, our own struggles, and our own search for meaning. The emotional resonance of these narratives reaches across time, transcending cultures and speaking to the universal human experience. The themes of creation, love, loss, and redemption echo in our hearts, inviting us to reflect on our own lives. In this vibrant world of ancient Near Eastern cultures, the book of Genesis stands as a powerful testament to the enduring nature of faith, love, and the search for understanding. It serves as a bridge connecting us to our ancestors, their hopes and dreams echoing through the ages. The stories we find within its pages are not just ancient accounts, they are alive with the emotions, struggles, and triumphs of humanity. Each character's journey resonates with our own, reminding us that we are part of a larger narrative, one that speaks to the very core of our existence. As the sun set over the ancient hills, the flickering flames of campfires illuminated the faces of storytellers, their voices carrying the weight of history through the night air. In a world where the written word was scarce, stories flowed like water, passed from one generation to the next, shaping the beliefs and identities of people. The book of Genesis, a treasure trove of these stories, carries the echoes of those voices, inviting us to feel the warmth of their messages and understand the roots of their faith. Tradition holds that Moses, the great leader who guided the Israelites out of Egypt, penned the first 5 books of the Bible, including Genesis. His hand, guided by divine inspiration, wrote the tales of creation, the patriarchs, and the covenant with God. To many, this idea resonates deeply, painting a picture of a faithful servant intimately connected to the divine. The thought of Moses sitting under the stars, reflecting on the stories of his ancestors, fills the heart with wonder and reverence. He sought to capture the essence of a people, their struggles, their dreams, and their relationship with God. Yet, as we reflect on the origins of Genesis, we find ourselves faced with questions. Was it truly Moses who wrote these words? Some scholars suggest that Genesis is the result of a collective effort, crafted over centuries, weaving together various voices and traditions. This notion brings forth a beautiful image of a community coming together, sharing their stories, and shaping their identity through the power of shared memory. Each storyteller added their own nuances, their own insights, creating a rich tapestry of faith and culture. The role of oral traditions in this process cannot be overlooked. Before the written word became prevalent, stories were told and retold, morphing and evolving with each telling. They were living narratives, infused with the emotions of the tellers and listeners. Around fires, families gathered, sharing tales of creation, the flood, and the adventures of their ancestors. Each storyteller infused their own experiences, their joys, and their sorrows into these stories, creating a connection that transcended time. Oral traditions breathe life into the pages of Genesis, enriching the narratives with depth and meaning. The stories resonate with the struggles and hopes of the people, reflecting their realities and their aspirations. When we read about Abraham's faith or Joseph's trials, we sense the heartbeat of a community, their collective longing for understanding and connection with the divine. These stories are not mere accounts of the past, they are windows into the lives of those who sought to make sense of their existence, their relationship with God, and their place in the world. The documentary hypothesis adds another layer to our understanding of Genesis. This theory posits that the book is a compilation of various sources, each contributing unique perspectives and themes. Scholars suggest that different groups, with distinct traditions and beliefs, contributed to the formation of Genesis over time. This idea evokes a sense of beauty, as it illustrates the richness of human experience and the diversity of voices within a single narrative. Imagine a community gathering, each person bringing their own story, their own understanding of the divine. One voice speaks of a loving creator who forms humanity from the dust of the earth, while another shares a tale of a powerful flood that washed away the wickedness of the world. These voices harmonize, creating a narrative that captures the complexity of faith and the human experience. Each source adds depth, bringing new dimensions to the stories that shape our understanding of God and ourselves. The composition of Genesis reflects the struggles and triumphs of its people. As they faced exile, oppression, and the search for identity, the stories became a lifeline, a way to hold on to hope and meaning. The narratives of Genesis remind us that the act of storytelling is deeply human, a way to connect, to remember, and to find solace in shared experiences. As we read Genesis, we feel the weight of these stories, the struggles of Abraham, the heartache of Jacob, and the resilience of Joseph. Each character embodies the journey of faith, grappling with doubt, despair, and ultimately, redemption. These tales resonate with our own lives, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. The threads of hope woven throughout Genesis serve as a guiding light, encouraging us to trust in the promise of a loving God. The richness of Genesis is not solely in its content, but in the process of its creation. The voices of countless individuals echo through its pages, each contributing their unique experiences and insights. This collective effort transforms the book into something greater than the sum of its parts, a living testament to the faith and resilience of a people who sought to understand their place in the world. The emotional power of Genesis lies in its ability to connect us to our roots, to remind us of the struggles and hopes of those who came before us. As we read about creation, loss, and redemption, we find ourselves drawn into a narrative that speaks to the deepest longings of our hearts. The stories are alive, breathing with the essence of humanity, inviting us to reflect on our own journeys and the ways we seek meaning in our lives. In this sacred book, the composition of Genesis reflects not just the words on the page, but the voices of a community striving for understanding. It is a tapestry woven with threads of faith, love, and the enduring human spirit. As we engage with these stories, we connect with the emotions of those who lived them, feeling the joy, pain, and hope that resonate through time. The book of Genesis stands as a powerful reminder of the beauty of storytelling and the profound connections that bind us to our past and to one another. In the beginning, there was a vast emptiness, a quiet space waiting to be filled with life. From this void, two powerful creation stories emerge in the book of Genesis, each offering a glimpse into the heart of God and the wonder of existence. These narratives invite us to witness the miraculous act of creation, stirring our hearts and igniting our imaginations. The first creation account, found in Genesis 1, unfolds with a rhythmic cadence that echoes through time. God speaks, and with each command, the world springs to life. "Let there be light," he declares, and suddenly, darkness flees. Light dances across the cosmos, bringing forth day and night. The heavens are filled with stars, the earth blooms with plants, and oceans teem with life. Each day of creation is a masterpiece, culminating in the creation of humanity, made in the very image of the Creator. This account is grand, majestic, and powerful, revealing a God who brings order from chaos and beauty from nothingness. As we immerse ourselves in this narrative, we can almost feel the thrill of creation. The vibrant colors of flowers, the soft rustle of leaves, and the gentle lapping of waves become palpable. This God is not distant, he is intimately involved, crafting a world filled with wonder and joy. The repetition of it was good resonates in our hearts, affirming the beauty and purpose behind each creation. The world is not just a collection of elements, it is a harmonious symphony, a reflection of divine goodness. In contrast, the second creation account in Genesis 2 presents a more intimate and personal picture of creation. Here, God takes a hands-on approach, forming Adam from the dust of the ground, breathing life into him with a gentle exhale. The intimacy of this moment evokes powerful emotions. Imagine the warmth of God's breath, the spark of life igniting in Adam's lungs, awakening him to the wonder of existence. This is a God who desires relationship, who walks in the garden with his creation, sharing moments of companionship and love. As we read this account, we see a garden, lush and vibrant, filled with every kind of tree. Adam is placed in this paradise to tend to it, reflecting the divine purpose of stewardship and care. God's creation is not only about beauty, it's also about responsibility and relationship. When God creates Eve from Adam's rib, the narrative deepens, emphasizing companionship and unity. The bond between them signifies the beauty of human relationships, where love flourishes in mutual support and respect. These two creation accounts, while differing in style and focus, reveal profound theological implications. Together, they paint a picture of God as both transcendent and immanent, powerful yet intimately involved in the lives of his creation. The first account shows God's sovereignty, his ability to command and bring forth life from nothing. The second account emphasizes his closeness, his desire to engage with humanity on a personal level. These dual aspects of God invite us to understand our own relationship with him as one of both reverence and intimacy. In the heart of creation lies the concept of good. After each act of creation, God declares it good, culminating in the creation of humanity, which he calls very good. This affirmation echoes through time, reminding us that life is filled with purpose and beauty. The goodness of creation is not merely a statement, it is a declaration of value, underscoring that all life is sacred. It challenges us to recognize the inherent worth in ourselves and in others, urging us to see the world through the lens of divine love. As we reflect on the beauty of creation, we are invited to consider our place within it. The stories of Genesis encourage us to appreciate the wonder of the world around us, from the intricate patterns of a leaf to the vastness of the stars. The goodness of creation calls us to stewardship, reminding us that we are caretakers of this beautiful gift. Each time we nurture a plant, help a neighbor, or show kindness to a stranger, we participate in the ongoing act of creation. The creation narratives also speak to the importance of relationships. Adam and Eve's partnership reflects the divine intention for human connection, relationships rooted in love, respect, and support. In a world that often feels fragmented, these stories remind us of the beauty of community and the power of unity. They encourage us to foster connections that uplift and empower one another, recognizing that together, we reflect the divine image. The emotional depth of these narratives lies in their ability to resonate with our own experiences. We all yearn for connection, understanding, and purpose. The stories of Genesis speak to our hearts, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. Just as God walked with Adam and Eve in the garden, he longs to walk with us, inviting us into a relationship marked by love and grace. As we engage with the creation narratives, we are reminded of the wonder of existence and the beauty of life. Each day is an opportunity to witness the goodness around us, to marvel at the simple joys, and to recognize the divine fingerprints in our lives. The stories of Genesis inspire us to celebrate the miracle of creation and to cherish the relationships that enrich our journey. In a world that often feels chaotic, the creation accounts provide a sense of grounding. They remind us that amidst the noise, there is order, purpose, and beauty. The concept of good serves as a beacon of hope, urging us to seek out the light even in our darkest moments. As we reflect on these powerful narratives, we are invited to embrace our role as stewards of creation, nurturing the world around us and fostering relationships rooted in love. Genesis invites us to pause and reflect on the miracle of life. It encourages us to celebrate the beauty of creation and to recognize the goodness woven into every moment. The stories remind us that we are part of something greater, called to reflect the love and grace of our Creator in a world that desperately needs it. Each time we open the pages of Genesis, we encounter not just a record of the past, but a living testament to the beauty and wonder of existence itself. In a world where paradise existed, the Garden of Eden stood as a shimmering oasis, untouched and perfect. It was a place where lush greenery kissed the sky, where rivers flowed like silk, and where every creature moved in harmony with one another. Here, life was meant to be pure joy, and existence was filled with the fragrance of blooming flowers and the gentle rustle of leaves. But beyond the beauty of this sacred space lies a story of profound symbolism, love, and the heart-wrenching journey of free will. Eden is more than just a garden, it is a powerful symbol of innocence and connection. It represents a state of being where humanity walked hand in hand with God, experiencing unbroken communion with the Creator. In this idyllic setting, Adam and Eve lived without fear or shame. They basked in the glow of God's presence, a living testament to the beauty of creation and the potential for a perfect relationship with the divine. The garden itself symbolizes a home that nourishes the soul, a place where every need is met and every desire fulfilled. In this sacred space, Adam and Eve played pivotal roles. Adam, formed from the dust of the ground, was tasked with naming the animals, reflecting the authority bestowed upon him by God. His heart beat in rhythm with the earth, and he tended to the garden with love and care. Eve, created from Adam's rib, represented companionship and partnership, embodying the beauty of shared existence. Together, they reflected the divine image, a union of love, respect, and mutual support. Their roles were not just about stewardship, but also about love and relationship. The garden was a canvas upon which they painted their lives, filled with laughter, joy, and wonder. They reveled in the beauty of creation, sharing moments of connection with each other and with God. Their existence was marked by trust and fulfillment, illustrating the profound truth that life is meant to be lived in harmony with God, with each other, and with the world around us. Yet, within this paradise lay the seed of free will. The presence of the tree of knowledge of good and evil introduced the concept of choice, a gift from God that would forever change the course of their lives. Free will is a double-edged sword, a blessing and a burden, allowing humanity to choose love or separation. God's command not to eat from this tree was not a mere restriction, it was an invitation to trust. It was a chance for Adam and Eve to demonstrate their love and commitment to their Creator. The moment of temptation arrived like a thief in the night, shrouded in a veil of curiosity and desire. The serpent, cunning and persuasive, lured Eve into a conversation that would alter everything. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The question hung in the air, a whisper that sowed seeds of doubt. As Eve pondered, the beauty of the forbidden fruit shimmered before her, promising knowledge and enlightenment. In that moment, the weight of free will became palpable, and the choice loomed before her like a shadow. Adam and Eve stood at the crossroads, their hearts filled with uncertainty. The allure of the fruit was intoxicating, tempting them to step beyond the boundaries set by God. The decision was not just about a piece of fruit, it was about trust and disobedience, about the desire for autonomy over divine guidance. When they chose to eat, the world trembled, and the fabric of their existence unraveled. In a heartbeat, innocence was lost, and paradise shattered. The consequences of their choice were immediate and profound. Suddenly, they were aware of their nakedness, feeling shame for the first time. The beautiful bond they shared became strained, replaced by fear and hiding. The garden that once symbolized perfection was now tainted with the knowledge of good and evil. They had chosen separation over connection, and their hearts ached with the weight of their decision. This moment in the Garden of Eden speaks to the depths of the human experience. We all face moments of temptation, choices that pull us away from what is good and right. The allure of the forbidden often casts a long shadow over our hearts, whispering promises of fulfillment that ultimately lead to regret. Adam and Eve's story is a mirror reflecting our struggles, reminding us that we are not alone in our quest for understanding and purpose. In the aftermath of their choice, the beauty of free will becomes evident. While it brought pain and separation, it also opened the door to redemption and grace. God, in His infinite love, sought Adam and Eve even in their hiding. He did not abandon them to their despair. Instead, He promised a way back, a path toward healing and restoration. This divine pursuit demonstrates that love is never lost, even when choices lead us astray. The Garden of Eden, with all its symbolism, serves as a reminder of the potential for both beauty and brokenness within humanity. It invites us to reflect on our own lives, our own choices, and our own struggles with temptation. In a world filled with distractions and desires, we are constantly confronted with decisions that test our faith and our relationships. Yet, even in the face of our failures, there is hope. The story of Adam and Eve is not merely a tale of loss, it is also a narrative of grace. It beckons us to return to the garden within ourselves, to seek the connection that brings life and joy. Each time we choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, we plant seeds of hope in our own lives and the lives of others. As we ponder the depths of the Garden of Eden, we are reminded of the beauty of choice, the power to love, to trust, and to seek connection. It challenges us to consider the paths we take and the consequences of our decisions. The story of Adam and Eve is not just ancient history, it is a living testament to the human experience, echoing through time and touching our hearts. In the dance of free will and temptation, we find ourselves, our struggles, and ultimately, our redemption. In a moment of choice that would change everything, paradise shattered, and the weight of humanity's decision echoed through the ages. The narrative of the fall in the Garden of Eden is more than just a story of disobedience, it is a poignant reflection of the human condition, a tale that stirs the soul and resonates with our deepest fears and desires. As Adam and Eve stood beneath the boughs of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the air crackled with tension. They had lived in a world of perfection, surrounded by beauty and abundance, but the forbidden fruit shimmered like a beacon, whispering promises of wisdom and power. The serpent's voice slithered into their hearts, igniting curiosity and doubt. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? This simple question, filled with venomous charm, planted seeds of uncertainty, nudging them closer to the edge of temptation. In that fateful moment, the weight of their decision hung heavy in the air. Adam and Eve took a step towards the fruit, their hearts racing with anticipation and fear. The first bite was an act of rebellion against divine command, a choice that would alter the course of history. The taste of the fruit was sweet, but it carried a bitterness that would linger long after. With that single act of disobedience, the innocence they once cherished slipped through their fingers like sand, forever lost. The consequences of their choice were immediate and profound. Suddenly, the lush garden that had been their sanctuary transformed into a landscape of shame and fear. Adam and Eve became painfully aware of their nakedness, a symbol of vulnerability and exposure. Where once there had been love and trust, there was now confusion and hiding. They sought to cover themselves with fig leaves, trying to shield their newfound shame from the all-seeing gaze of their Creator. In that moment, the beauty of their relationship fractured, and the joy of communion with God was replaced with dread. As they heard the sound of God walking in the garden, their hearts raced with panic. They had stepped away from grace and into the darkness of disobedience. Their choice had severed the bond of trust, and they hid among the trees, hoping to escape the consequences of their actions. The heart-wrenching scene reveals the raw reality of sin, how it drives a wedge between humanity and God, leading to isolation and despair. God's question pierced the silence, calling out to them, "Where are you?" This inquiry was not merely about their physical location, it was an invitation to confront their choices and the reality of their actions. Adam's response was laced with blame, revealing the fractured nature of their relationship. "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree, and I ate it." Eve followed suit, deflecting responsibility onto the serpent. In this exchange, we see the heartbreaking nature of sin. It leads to blame, shame, and division instead of love and unity. The consequences of disobedience extended far beyond the garden. God's judgment echoed through the ages, marking the beginning of a struggle that would define the human experience. The ground would become cursed, bringing forth thorns and thistles. Pain and toil would accompany childbirth, and the harmony of relationships would be marred by conflict and strife. Adam and Eve, once innocent and free, were thrust into a world filled with hardship, their paradise forever lost. The fall of man invites us to reflect on the weight of sin and its profound impact on humanity. The theological interpretations of sin reveal a truth that resonates deeply within us. We are all prone to wander, to make choices that lead us away from what is good and right. The allure of temptation is ever present, whispering promises that ultimately lead to emptiness and regret. Sin is not just an act of disobedience, it is a turning away from the divine relationship we were created to enjoy. It carries a heavy burden, separating us from God and causing us to lose sight of our true identity. In the aftermath of the fall, humanity became entangled in a web of sin, struggling to find its way back to the light. The weight of guilt and shame became a heavy cloak, obscuring the goodness that lies at the core of our being. Yet, even in the darkest moments of this narrative, the thread of hope begins to weave its way through the sorrow. The promise of redemption emerges from the ashes of despair, hinting at a future where the relationship between God and humanity could be restored. In the midst of consequences, God offers a glimpse of grace. He does not abandon Adam and Eve. Instead, He provides for them, clothing them and promising that their story is not over. The fall of man serves as a powerful reminder of our own struggles with temptation and sin. We, too, face moments of choice, where the allure of the forbidden beckons us to stray from the path of righteousness. Each decision carries weight, shaping our relationships and defining our journey. The story resonates within us, reminding us of our humanity, our vulnerability, and our deep longing for connection. As we confront our own struggles, we are invited to acknowledge our weaknesses and the consequences of our choices. In the wake of disobedience, we often find ourselves feeling lost and alone, yearning for the grace and love we once knew. Yet, the story of the fall is not merely a tale of loss, it is an invitation to seek redemption, to turn back to the God who longs to restore us. Through the lens of the fall, we see the beauty of divine love and the potential for healing. God's desire is not for us to remain in shame, but to step into the light of His grace. The narrative calls us to embrace our humanity, acknowledging our mistakes while recognizing that forgiveness and restoration are possible. The journey toward healing begins when we face our choices with honesty, seeking the love that can mend even the deepest wounds. In the end, the fall of man is not just a story of despair, it is a profound exploration of the human experience, filled with the complexities of choice, consequence, and redemption. It resonates with our hearts, inviting us to reflect on our own lives and the paths we choose. As we navigate the challenges of temptation, we can find solace in the promise that, no matter how far we wander, love awaits to welcome us back home. In a world that had just emerged from the shadows of the fall, two brothers were born, each representing the hope and struggle of a new beginning. Cain and Abel, the first siblings, carried the weight of their parents' choices as they stepped into a world filled with both promise and peril. Their story unfolds with the innocence of childhood and the complexity of human emotions, painting a vivid picture of love, rivalry, and the choices that can alter destinies. As children, Cain and Abel were nurtured in a home filled with the echoes of creation and the bitterness of loss. Cain, the firstborn, took to the fields, becoming a farmer who toiled under the sun, while Abel, the younger brother, found joy in herding sheep, a life that allowed him to be closer to nature. Each day, they learned from their parents and the land, sharing moments of laughter and companionship, yet an unspoken tension loomed over them. The theme of jealousy crept into their lives like a thief in the night, whispering doubts and sowing discord. When it came time to bring their offerings to God, their choices revealed the seeds of their hearts. Cain presented the fruits of his labor, while Abel offered the best of his flock, a choice born from love and reverence. God looked with favor upon Abel's offering but turned away from Cain's, igniting a spark of jealousy that would soon erupt into a blaze. Cain's heart twisted in turmoil as he watched his brother receive approval while he felt rejected. The warmth of their brotherly bond was overshadowed by the cold grip of envy. Why does God favor him? Cain's mind raced with thoughts that spiraled into darkness. Instead of seeking understanding or guidance, he allowed jealousy to fester, consuming him from within. The love that once flourished between them began to wither, replaced by resentment and anger. God, sensing the turmoil in Cain's heart, reached out with compassion, warning him of the danger that lurked within. Sin is crouching at your door, it desires to have you, but you must master it. This divine intervention was a moment of grace, an opportunity for Cain to recognize the path he was on and choose a different way. Yet, blinded by his emotions, Cain turned away from the light, succumbing to the darkness that beckoned him. In a tragic twist, Cain lured Abel into the fields, the place where brotherhood turned to betrayal. With each step, the weight of his choice pressed down, yet he felt a momentary release as he acted on his jealousy. The act of violence shattered the fragile bond they once shared, leaving behind a lifeless body and a brother's heart broken in grief. The world around them held its breath, the air thick with sorrow and disbelief. When God confronted Cain, asking, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain's response was chilling, marked by defiance. "Am I my brother's keeper?" His words echoed the depth of his disconnection, revealing a heart hardened by sin. In that moment, Cain not only denied responsibility but also severed the bond of kinship that should have united them. The weight of his actions hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked jealousy and moral choices. The story of Cain and Abel is rich with symbolism, particularly the concept of sacrifice. Abel's offering was one of love, reflecting a heart attuned to the divine. He chose the best of his flock, understanding that true sacrifice comes from a place of gratitude and devotion. In contrast, Cain's offering, born out of obligation rather than love, lacked the sincerity that God sought. The difference between their sacrifices highlights the importance of intention and the state of one's heart when approaching God. Through their choices, the brothers embody the struggle between good and evil, love and hate, acceptance and rejection. Abel's life, cut short by the darkness of Cain's heart, becomes a poignant reminder of the fragility of relationships and the consequences of allowing jealousy to dictate our actions. In a moment of weakness, Cain not only lost his brother but also his connection to God, paving the way for a life filled with wandering and despair. As Cain faced the consequences of his actions, he became a symbol of the burden of sin. God marked him, not as a sign of punishment but as a reminder of the choice he made. "You will be a restless wanderer on the earth," God said, and in those words lay the essence of his isolation. The very act of taking his brother's life robbed Cain of peace, leaving him to wander the earth, burdened by guilt and the haunting memory of his choices. The themes of jealousy and moral choices resonate deeply within the human experience. We all face moments when envy threatens to overshadow our relationships, when the desire for approval can cloud our judgment. Cain's story serves as a poignant warning about the consequences of allowing jealousy to dictate our actions. It beckons us to reflect on our own hearts, encouraging us to cultivate love and understanding rather than resentment and division. In a world that often feels divided, the tale of Cain and Abel challenges us to become our brother's keepers. It calls us to recognize the inherent value of those around us, reminding us that our choices have the power to uplift or tear down. As we navigate our own lives, we are invited to choose love over jealousy, compassion over anger, and understanding over judgment. The story of the first siblings serves as a mirror reflecting our struggles, illuminating the complexities of the human heart. It reminds us that we are all capable of both great love and profound pain. In the end, the narrative of Cain and Abel is not just a tale of jealousy and violence, it is an exploration of the choices we make and their lasting impact on ourselves and those we love. As we reflect on this heart-wrenching story, we are left with the realization that each decision carries weight, shaping the course of our lives and the lives of others. Cain and Abel remind us that the bonds of family are precious, and the choices we make in the face of jealousy and temptation can either draw us closer or drive us apart. Their story lingers in our hearts, urging us to choose love, to honor our connections, and to strive for understanding in a world that so often feels divided. In a world spiraling into chaos and corruption, a single man stood apart, a beacon of hope amid rising darkness. Noah, a humble and righteous man, found favor in the eyes of God during a time when wickedness enveloped the earth like a thick fog. The story of Noah and the flood is not just a tale of destruction, it is a heart-wrenching narrative of faith, obedience, and the unyielding promise of a new beginning. As the story unfolds, we see God's sorrow over humanity's choices, a grief that compelled him to cleanse the earth. In the midst of this despair, Noah received a divine command that would change the course of history. He was instructed to build an enormous ark, a vessel that would carry the hope of the future, a future that included his family and a pair of every living creature. Can you imagine the weight of that responsibility? Noah, with unwavering faith, began to work tirelessly, gathering materials and constructing the ark as the world around him descended further into moral decay. With each swing of his hammer, Noah faced mockery and scorn from those who couldn't comprehend the gravity of his task. Yet, he remained steadfast, driven by a faith that transcended understanding. His heart was filled with the knowledge that he was chosen to preserve life amid impending destruction. As the first raindrops began to fall, a sense of foreboding filled the air, a whisper of the storm to come. The flood would not only cleanse the earth, but also serve as a testament to the power of divine judgment. As the heavens opened and the waters surged, chaos erupted. The world that had once laughed at Noah was now engulfed in fear, but within the ark, there was a different kind of storm brewing. Noah's family, huddled together, faced uncertainty and isolation, surrounded by the cries of the creatures they had saved. Each day on the ark was a reminder of the sacrifice they had made, the friends and neighbors they could not save. Their hearts ached for the lives lost outside, yet they clung to the hope that God would keep them safe. The floodwaters raged on, consuming the earth and drowning the remnants of a world steeped in sin. For 40 days and 40 nights, Noah and his family endured the relentless downpour, suspended between fear and faith. The ark became a sanctuary, a fragile lifeline to a new world that awaited them. Amid the chaos, Noah's faith became a lifeline, a reminder that God's promises would endure beyond the flood. When the rain finally ceased and the sun broke through the clouds, the silence that followed was deafening. The waters began to recede, revealing a transformed landscape. As the ark rested on the mountains of Ararat, a sense of hope blossomed within Noah's heart. The journey was far from over, but they had survived, a testament to God's mercy and the power of obedience. The moment Noah stepped onto dry land, a wave of emotion washed over him. He had witnessed both the devastation of sin and the beauty of redemption. In that sacred moment, he built an altar to God, offering sacrifices of gratitude for the new beginning bestowed upon them. The aroma of burnt offerings ascended to heaven, a symbol of thanks for the covenant that God was about to establish. The significance of the covenant with Noah transcends time and space, resonating through generations. God's promise was simple yet profound: never again would he flood the earth. The rainbow appeared in the sky as a vibrant reminder of this covenant, a bridge between heaven and earth, signifying hope and renewal. Every time it rained, the colors would shine brightly, a reminder of God's faithfulness even amid the storms of life. The flood narrative also finds echoes in other ancient flood myths, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh. In these tales, similar themes of destruction and rebirth emerge, yet the story of Noah stands apart with its profound emphasis on God's covenantal love and grace. While other myths may focus on the capriciousness of the gods, Noah's story reveals a God who seeks to restore rather than simply destroy. The differences in these narratives highlight the unique relationship between God and humanity, a bond characterized by mercy, hope, and the promise of redemption. As the world began anew, Noah and his family faced the daunting task of rebuilding society, a mission imbued with the lessons learned from the flood. They became the ancestors of a new generation, carrying with them the stories of faith and obedience, and the covenant that would shape their lives. The scars of the flood remained, but they served as reminders of the fragility of life and the importance of choices made in faith. Noah's journey is a poignant reminder of the complexities of human existence, the struggle between sin and righteousness, despair and hope. His unwavering faith in the face of ridicule teaches us that true obedience is not always easy, but it is often where we find our greatest strength. The flood narrative challenges us to reflect on our own lives, urging us to seek refuge in the promises of God, especially when the storms of life threaten to overwhelm us. As we contemplate the significance of Noah's story, we are reminded that hope often emerges from the most tumultuous circumstances. In our own lives, we may find ourselves facing challenges that seem insurmountable, yet Noah's faith invites us to persevere. The rainbow, a symbol of hope, calls us to remember that even in our darkest moments, God's promises remain steadfast, shining through the clouds of uncertainty. Noah's legacy lives on, a testament to the power of faith, obedience, and the enduring nature of God's covenant. His story reminds us that no matter how deep the floodwaters rise, hope is never truly lost. It invites us to look toward the future with courage and faith, trusting that after every storm, there is the promise of a new beginning, a chance to rebuild, restore, and embrace the beauty of life once more. In a time when the earth was united by a single language and a shared purpose, humanity's ambition soared to dizzying heights. The story of the Tower of Babel begins with a powerful desire to make a name for themselves, to build a city that reached the heavens. The people envisioned a monumental tower that would be a testament to their strength, creativity, and unity. They dreamed of a world where they could reach the skies, where their legacy would live on forever. As the workers gathered, their hearts beat with excitement and determination. They believed they could achieve anything together, their voices rising in harmony as they laid bricks and mixed mortar. With every stone they placed, they envisioned a future where they would no longer be scattered, where they could defy the limits of their existence. But in their quest for greatness, they overlooked a crucial truth: their ambition was fueled by pride, a dangerous fire that would consume them. The builders worked tirelessly, day and night, consumed by their vision. Yet, in their relentless pursuit of glory, they became blind to the very essence of their humanity. They believed that through their efforts, they could reach the divine, that they could ascend to the heavens and become like gods. But amid their unity, a chasm began to grow, one that threatened to fracture their very existence. The ambition that once fueled their dreams now sowed the seeds of division. As their tower reached toward the sky, God looked down upon the earth and saw the growing pride of humanity. Their ambition was not merely a pursuit of greatness, it was an assertion of control, a desire to overthrow the boundaries set by the Creator. In response to this challenge, God chose to intervene, not with anger, but with a wisdom that transcends understanding. With a gentle yet firm hand, God confused their language. Suddenly, the once harmonious voices became a cacophony of confusion and chaos. The builders found themselves unable to understand one another, their dreams of unity crumbling as communication broke down. The workers who had labored side by side now stood as strangers, lost in a sea of words they could not comprehend. Fear and frustration filled the air as people turned against each other, each group speaking a different language, struggling to convey their thoughts and ideas. The magnificent tower that once symbolized their ambition became a stark reminder of their folly. The workers abandoned the project, their dreams reduced to rubble as they scattered across the earth. The city that was meant to be a beacon of unity became a desolate landscape, echoing with the remnants of broken dreams and aspirations. The pride that had driven them to greatness now left them isolated, separated by the very languages they had once shared. In this divine act of intervention, God revealed a profound truth about the nature of unity and ambition. While humans can come together to create, there is a delicate balance between ambition and humility. The desire to build a legacy is not inherently wrong, but when it overshadows the need for connection and community, it leads to division. The Tower of Babel serves as a powerful reminder that true unity is not found in the strength of our ambitions, but in our ability to understand and embrace one another. As the people dispersed, they carried with them the diverse languages and cultures that emerged from this moment of divine intervention. What was once a single voice became a symphony of expressions, each language reflecting the unique experiences, histories, and dreams of the people. The beauty of linguistic diversity blossomed, transforming the world into a rich tapestry of communication. In this way, God's intervention, while appearing to be a punishment, ultimately became a gift, a reminder that our differences are not a hindrance but a source of strength and beauty. The story of the Tower of Babel speaks to the core of human ambition, urging us to reflect on our desires and the impact they have on our relationships. In our quest for success, it is easy to become consumed by pride, to lose sight of the importance of connection and understanding. The narrative invites us to seek balance, to pursue our ambitions without sacrificing the bonds that tie us together. In today's world, the echoes of Babel resonate as we navigate our differences. The languages that emerged from that ancient moment continue to shape our interactions, cultures, and identities. Yet, amidst this diversity, the challenge remains: how do we build bridges of understanding in a world often divided by language and culture? How do we create spaces where unity can flourish, despite our differences? As we reflect on this poignant story, we are reminded that the heart of human experience lies not in the towers we build but in the connections we forge. The Tower of Babel serves as a call to humility, a reminder that our greatest achievements come when we work together, embracing our differences as we strive for understanding. In the end, it is through empathy, compassion, and respect for one another that we can truly create a world where unity thrives, transcending the barriers of language and culture. The story of Babel stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a powerful reminder that even in the face of division, there lies the potential for connection and understanding. As we navigate our own lives, let us strive to honor the lessons of Babel, seeking unity in our diversity and celebrating the beauty of the many voices that make up our shared human experience. In a world filled with uncertainty and unrest, one man's faith would set the course for generations to come. Abraham, a name that echoes through history, was called by God to step out of his comfort zone and embark on a journey that would change the world. This call was not just a command, it was a divine invitation to become the father of many nations, a promise that would shape the faith of billions. The moment God spoke to Abraham, it was as if the heavens opened and a new destiny was laid before him. "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household and go to the land I will show you." The words rang in his ears, resonating deep within his soul. It was a daunting task, filled with uncertainty and fear, yet Abraham felt an undeniable pull, a sense of purpose that ignited his heart. He didn't have a map, nor did he know where he was headed, but he took a step of faith, leaving everything familiar behind. As he journeyed into the unknown, Abraham faced challenges that would test his resolve and faith. The path was not easy. He encountered struggles, hardships, and moments of doubt. Yet through it all, Abraham remained steadfast, trusting in the promise that God had made. With every step, he clung to the hope that his journey was not in vain, that he was part of a greater plan that would one day be revealed. God's promise to Abraham was profound. "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." These words were more than mere encouragement, they were a declaration of identity and purpose. Abraham was to become the patriarch of a people chosen by God, a lineage that would carry the weight of divine promise and blessing. In his heart, Abraham understood the significance of this covenant. It was a bond forged between the divine and the human, a commitment that transcended time. God reassured Abraham, promising that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Imagine standing under a vast night sky, filled with countless stars, each one a symbol of hope and promise. This image was not just for Abraham, it was a vision for all humanity, a reminder of God's unwavering faithfulness. Yet, even with such promises, doubt lingered. As the years passed and Abraham and his wife Sarah remained childless, the weight of that promise became heavier. Abraham's heart ached with longing, and he wondered if he had misunderstood God's words. Would he truly become the father of nations? In a moment of vulnerability, he voiced his fears to God, asking, "What can you give me since I remain childless?" God, in his grace, reassured him once more, affirming that his heir would indeed come from his own body. Abraham's faith was not just about believing in promises, it was also about wrestling with doubt, embracing the uncertainties of life. He and Sarah would eventually bear a son, Isaac, a miracle that embodied God's faithfulness. Their laughter echoed through the tents as they welcomed the child of promise, a reminder that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels delayed. The covenant between God and Abraham was sealed through profound acts of faith, including the remarkable moment when Abraham was asked to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac. This heart-wrenching request sent shockwaves through Abraham's soul, forcing him to confront the depths of his faith and love for God. Imagine standing at the edge of an unfathomable choice, torn between love for your child and obedience to the divine. With a heavy heart, Abraham took Isaac to the altar, ready to lay down everything for the God he trusted. Yet, at the last moment, God intervened, providing a ram caught in the thicket as a substitute for Isaac. This moment of divine intervention not only spared Isaac but also solidified Abraham's faith, revealing that God's plans are often beyond our understanding. The bond between them grew deeper, built on trust and the profound realization that true faith is not without trials. Abraham's significance transcends his own story. He stands as a figure of faith in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In Judaism, he is revered as the father of the nation, a symbol of faith and obedience. The covenant established with him is foundational to the Jewish identity, embodying the promise of land, descendants, and blessing. In Christianity, Abraham is seen as a model of faith, a precursor to the grace found in Jesus Christ. His willingness to trust in God's promise echoes the call to live by faith, even when the path is unclear. In Islam, Abraham, known as Ibrahim, is celebrated as a prophet and a messenger of God. His submission to God's will exemplifies the essence of Islam itself, complete surrender to the divine plan. Muslims regard him as a key figure in the lineage leading to Muhammad, viewing him as a symbol of monotheism and devotion. Abraham's story transcends religious boundaries, reminding us of the universal themes of faith, hope, and perseverance. His journey is a testament to the power of divine calling and the impact one life can have on the course of history. As we reflect on Abraham's legacy, we are inspired to consider our own calls, the moments when we must step into the unknown, trusting that God's promises will guide us. In the heart of Abraham's story lies an invitation to embrace faith, even when faced with doubt. It is a reminder that every journey begins with a single step, that the road may be fraught with challenges, but it is also lined with divine blessings. Abraham's legacy is not just in the nations that emerged from his lineage, it lives on in the hearts of those who dare to believe in the promises of God, who take steps of faith, and who seek to be a blessing in the world around them. Through Abraham's life, we see the beauty of a faithful heart, a heart that dared to believe in the impossible, that wrestled with doubt, and that ultimately found peace in God's unfailing love. His journey invites us to reflect on our own paths, to trust in the promises that lie ahead, and to embrace the divine calling that stirs within our souls. In doing so, we honor the legacy of Abraham, a man who, through faith, changed the world forever. In the shadow of a great promise, two lives intertwine, each marked by love, deception, and the pursuit of blessings that would shape the course of history. Isaac, the cherished son of Abraham, was born from a miracle, a living testament to God's faithfulness. His life was rich with the weight of expectation, carrying forward the covenant made with his father. Yet, the path of Isaac and his son Jacob would not be simple. It would be paved with choices that would challenge their faith and redefine their identities. Isaac's story unfolds quietly but profoundly. He was not just a boy who was almost sacrificed on Mount Moriah, he was a man destined to inherit the promises of God. As he grew, he became a peaceful soul, preferring the quiet of the fields and the sweetness of life's simple pleasures. He married Rebekah, a woman who would share in the joys and trials of their family. Their love story was tender, filled with moments of deep connection, yet their journey was not without its struggles. As they longed for children, the weight of expectation grew heavier. They prayed fervently, their hearts aching for the blessing of family. God heard their cries and granted them two sons, Esau and Jacob, who would grow to be as different as night and day. Esau, the firstborn, was rugged and bold, a hunter with a heart for the wild. Jacob, on the other hand, was gentle and thoughtful, preferring the warmth of home and the comfort of quiet conversation. The stark contrast between the brothers set the stage for a lifelong struggle, one that would reveal the complexities of family, identity, and destiny. As time passed, the bond between Isaac and Esau deepened. Isaac's heart swelled with pride for his firstborn, and he favored Esau, often seeking the hearty meals he prepared after a long day of hunting. In contrast, Jacob, feeling the sting of rejection, sought approval through cunning and craftiness. The tension grew as the brothers found themselves caught in a web of competition for their father's love and the birthright that came with it. One fateful day, after a long day of hunting, Esau returned home, weary and famished. He found Jacob preparing a simple stew, the fragrant aroma wafting through the air, stirring hunger within him. "Give me some of that red stew. I'm starving," Esau pleaded, his voice filled with desperation. In that moment of vulnerability, Jacob seized the opportunity, bargaining for his brother's birthright in exchange for the meal. Esau, consumed by his immediate hunger, agreed without hesitation, trading a precious legacy for a momentary satisfaction. This act of deception would haunt both brothers, leaving scars that would last a lifetime. Jacob secured the birthright, but in doing so, he also planted the seeds of betrayal and resentment. The dynamics of their relationship shifted irrevocably, each brother's heart heavy with the weight of their choices. The family bond, once filled with love, was now marred by suspicion and jealousy. As time went on, the stakes grew higher. Isaac, now old and blind, prepared to bestow his blessing upon Esau, the son he loved most. Rebekah, sensing the impending loss of Jacob's inheritance, devised a plan. She urged Jacob to disguise himself as Esau, to deceive his father and receive the blessing meant for his brother. Trembling with fear yet driven by desire, Jacob donned Esau's clothes and covered his arms with goat skins to mimic his brother's roughness. In a moment thick with tension, Jacob approached his father, heart racing as he uttered the words, "I am Esau, your firstborn." Isaac, sensing something was amiss, questioned his son, yet Jacob's voice and demeanor masked the truth. In a heartbreaking twist, the blessing was pronounced over Jacob instead of Esau, sealing a fate fraught with consequences. When Esau discovered the betrayal, his anguish echoed through the halls of their home. "Bless me too, father," he cried, desperation lacing his voice. But Isaac could only offer a fragmented blessing, leaving Esau shattered, consumed by bitterness and anger. The love once shared between the brothers crumbled beneath the weight of deception, and Jacob fled, escaping the storm he had created. Alone and filled with guilt, Jacob journeyed into the wilderness, where he encountered a night filled with visions. It was there that he had a dream of a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. In this sacred moment, God spoke to him, reaffirming the covenant made with Abraham and Isaac. "I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go," God promised, planting hope in Jacob's heart. As Jacob continued his journey, he faced struggles both external and internal. He wrestled with fear, shame, and the haunting memories of his past. Yet, through it all, he found moments of grace that transformed his heart. The man who had once deceived others now found himself confronting his own weaknesses, seeking redemption and a new identity. Years later, Jacob returned to his homeland, now a man changed by his experiences. He was no longer just a deceiver, he was a father, a husband, and a man wrestling with the legacy he had inherited. Yet, the most poignant moment of his transformation awaited him. As he approached his brother Esau, fear gripped his heart. Would he be met with anger and rejection, or with forgiveness and reconciliation? When they finally came face to face, Jacob bowed low, a gesture of humility and respect. But Esau, filled with compassion, ran to his brother and embraced him. Tears flowed freely, washing away years of hurt and pain. In that moment of reconciliation, the brothers began to heal, rebuilding a bond that had been fractured by betrayal. Jacob's transformation into Israel marked a pivotal moment in his life. No longer defined by his past mistakes, he emerged as a man who had wrestled with God and prevailed. His new name symbolized a new beginning, one rooted in faith, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. The story of Isaac and Jacob teaches us that even in the face of deception and betrayal, there is always the possibility of redemption and transformation. Through their narratives, we see the complexities of family dynamics and the impact of choices made in moments of vulnerability. The journey of Isaac and Jacob reminds us that our legacies are not solely defined by our actions, but also by our willingness to embrace change, seek forgiveness, and strive for a better path. In the end, it is love that binds us, even amidst the most challenging circumstances, guiding us toward healing and a future filled with hope. In a world where dreams often flicker like distant stars, one young man's journey would illuminate the power of hope, forgiveness, and divine providence. Joseph, the favored son of Jacob, stood out among his brothers. With his colorful coat, a gift from his father, he captured the admiration of his family, but also ignited jealousy in the hearts of his siblings. His life was a tapestry woven with threads of love and pain, betrayal and triumph, a precursor to the remarkable history of Israel. Joseph's early days were filled with visions and dreams that seemed to whisper of a great future. He dreamed of sheaves of wheat bowing down to him and stars aligning to honor his place. As he shared these dreams, excitement danced in his eyes, yet the reactions of his brothers were far from joyous. They viewed him as a threat, a dreamer whose visions would overshadow their own lives. Their jealousy simmered, turning into a dark storm that would alter Joseph's fate forever. One fateful day, as Joseph ventured to find his brothers tending the flocks, the tension reached its breaking point. Their anger boiled over, and in a moment fueled by jealousy, they stripped him of his coat and cast him into a deep pit, leaving him to languish in darkness. The pain of betrayal pierced Joseph's heart, echoing in the silence of the pit. How could those who were supposed to love him turn against him so fiercely? As he cried out for mercy, no one came to his aid. Instead of ending his story, this moment marked the beginning of a long journey. The brothers decided to sell Joseph to passing traders, who took him to Egypt, a foreign land that would become both a prison and a palace. Joseph, once cherished and loved, found himself a slave in the house of Potiphar, a high-ranking official. It was here that he learned the harsh realities of life, yet his spirit remained unbroken. He worked diligently, earning the trust of his master, who soon recognized Joseph's extraordinary abilities. Yet, fate had more trials in store for him. Potiphar's wife, entranced by Joseph's charm and strength, sought to seduce him. With unwavering integrity, Joseph refused her advances, declaring that he could not betray his master or sin against God. His refusal ignited her wrath, leading to false accusations that would plunge him back into darkness. Once again, Joseph found himself in a prison cell, his dreams seemingly crushed beneath the weight of injustice. In the depths of his despair, Joseph clung to hope. Within the cold walls of the prison, he encountered fellow prisoners, two men who had also fallen from grace. When they shared their dreams with him, Joseph, ever the interpreter, turned their confusion into clarity. "Do not interpretations belong to God?" he said, channeling his faith into understanding. He interpreted their dreams with accuracy. One would be restored to his position, while the other would meet a grim fate. Yet, as Joseph had hoped for his own freedom, he remained forgotten when the dreams came to pass. Time stretched painfully, each day blurring into the next. But Joseph's faith never wavered. He believed that God was with him, even in the darkest moments. His resilience was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, showing that even in the bleakest circumstances, hope can shine through. Then, the Pharaoh of Egypt had dreams that troubled his heart, a series of visions that no one could interpret. As the king searched for answers, the cupbearer, who had once been imprisoned with Joseph, finally remembered the young man who had interpreted their dreams. With renewed hope, Joseph was summoned from the prison, standing before the mighty Pharaoh. With humility and confidence, he listened to the king's dreams of 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 lean cows, and stalks of healthy grain swallowed by withered stalks. Joseph, guided by divine wisdom, interpreted the dreams as a warning from God, a prophecy of 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. He offered Pharaoh a plan to prepare for the coming disaster, recommending the collection of surplus grain during the years of plenty. Impressed by Joseph's insight and foresight, Pharaoh appointed him as second in command, giving him authority over the land of Egypt. In an astonishing turn of events, the boy who was once sold into slavery now stood as a powerful ruler, tasked with saving the nation. Yet, Joseph never lost sight of his roots or the pain of betrayal. He understood that his journey had shaped him into a man of compassion, ready to face the challenges ahead. When the famine struck, the land of Canaan, where Joseph's family lived, was not spared. Desperate for food, Jacob sent his sons to Egypt, unaware that their brother held the key to their survival. As they stood before Joseph, they did not recognize the man who had once been their brother, their faces etched with fear and guilt. They bowed before him, fulfilling the dreams Joseph had shared long ago. In that moment, the weight of their past flooded back, and Joseph felt the urge to reveal his true identity. But instead of seeking revenge, he chose a path of forgiveness. With tears in his eyes, he embraced his brothers, saying, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." His heart swelled with compassion as he recognized the hand of God in every twist of fate. The pain of betrayal transformed into a powerful story of redemption, illustrating the profound truth that even our darkest moments can lead to incredible outcomes. Joseph's journey culminated in a beautiful reunion with his father, Jacob. The joy and relief were palpable as father and son embraced, their tears mingling as they were reunited after years of separation. The bond was stronger than ever, a testament to the enduring love that transcends hardship. Through the life of Joseph, we witness the themes of forgiveness and divine providence interwoven throughout the fabric of his story. His ability to forgive his brothers not only restored their relationship, but also brought healing to his own heart. Joseph became a symbol of resilience and hope, demonstrating that even in the face of adversity, we have the power to rise above our circumstances and embrace a future filled with possibility. The story of Joseph serves as a reminder that life's twists and turns may lead us down unexpected paths, but through faith, forgiveness, and the willingness to see beyond our pain, we can create a narrative that brings light to others. Joseph's life is a testament to the power of dreams, the strength found in forgiveness, and the providence of a God who orchestrates every detail of our lives. In the rich tapestry of Genesis, the stories of women often shine with brilliance, illuminating the vital roles they played in shaping the course of history. Their lives were filled with struggles and triumphs, weaving together themes of faith, resilience, and love. These women, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and others, were more than mere background figures. They were the backbone of their families and the architects of God's promises. Their contributions, challenges, and the expectations placed upon them reveal a complex interplay of strength and vulnerability that resonates through time. Sarah, the matriarch, held the promise of a nation within her womb. For years, she endured the heartache of infertility, watching as time slipped away. Her laughter, once filled with joy, turned into tears of despair as she struggled with the weight of expectations placed upon her. Yet, in her darkest moments, Sarah displayed remarkable strength. When God promised her a son, she found it hard to believe. How could a woman of her age bear a child? The doubt danced in her heart, but in the depths of her being, she longed for that promise to be fulfilled. When Isaac was finally born, the joy was overwhelming. Sarah's laughter returned, now resonating with the sweetness of hope. In that moment, she became the mother of a covenant, the bearer of a legacy that would change the world. Sarah's story teaches us that the journey of faith is not always easy, but the reward can be worth the struggle. Her life exemplifies the power of perseverance, showing that even in moments of doubt, hope can be reignited. Rebecca, the next significant figure, entered the scene with grace and determination. Her story began when Abraham sought a wife for Isaac, sending his servant to find the perfect match. When the servant arrived at the well, he prayed for a sign, and Rebekah appeared, drawing water with a kindness that spoke volumes. The servant recognized her as the answer to his prayer, and her willingness to leave her family and journey to a new land marked her as a woman of courage. Rebekah's life was not without its challenges. She navigated the complexities of family dynamics, favoring her son Jacob over Esau, and played a pivotal role in securing Jacob's blessing. Her actions were driven by love, but they also revealed the tensions that lay beneath the surface. The bonds of family can be both beautiful and painful, and Rebekah's story reminds us of the weight of choices made in love. Her willingness to take risks for her son illustrated the fierce love mothers often embody, showing that the path to greatness is often fraught with difficult decisions. Rachel, the beloved wife of Jacob, also faced the struggle of infertility. Her longing for children consumed her, as she watched her sister Leah bear multiple sons while she remained childless. Rachel's heart ached with jealousy and despair, leading her to offer her maidservant to Jacob in hopes of building a family. In a world where women's worth was often measured by their ability to bear children, Rachel's struggle was deeply relatable and heartbreaking. When Rachel finally gave birth to Joseph, joy flooded her soul, and the pain of her past began to fade. Yet, her story did not end there. The challenges of motherhood continued as she faced the reality of being a mother in a complex family dynamic. Her love for Joseph was fierce, and she poured her heart into raising him, unaware of the trials that awaited her son. Rachel's life encapsulates the bittersweet nature of motherhood, how joy and sorrow can coexist, and how love can propel us forward, even amid hardship. The stories of these women reveal the cultural expectations and gender roles that shaped their lives. In a patriarchal society, women were often seen as property or vessels for producing heirs. Yet, these women defied limitations, showcasing strength and agency in their choices. They navigated a world that often silenced them, finding their voices and wielding influence in profound ways. Their contributions went beyond motherhood. They were key players in the unfolding narrative of God's plan. As we reflect on the lives of Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel, we see the threads of resilience woven into their stories. They faced societal pressures and personal challenges, yet they remained steadfast in their faith. Their experiences remind us that every woman's journey is unique, filled with moments of doubt and strength. They were not perfect, but their humanity makes their stories relatable and poignant. In Genesis, the role of women is not just a backdrop to the male figures, it is integral to the unfolding of God's promises. Their stories are a testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the pursuit of dreams. They teach us that, despite societal constraints, women can rise above expectations, leaving a lasting impact on their families and communities. Their legacies continue to inspire, reminding us that every voice matters and every story has the potential to change the world. Through their struggles and triumphs, Sarah, Rebecca, and Rachel invite us to reflect on the complexities of womanhood, the strength found in vulnerability, and the power of faith in the face of adversity. Their lives echo with the understanding that love can be a guiding force, leading us to fulfill our destinies and shape the course of history. The women of Genesis remind us that, although they lived in a different time, their experiences resonate with the timeless struggles and triumphs of women everywhere. In the beginning, there was a spark of life, a breath that filled the void and transformed nothingness into creation. The story of Genesis unfolds with a powerful declaration of God's nature and creativity, showcasing the majesty of a creator who spoke the universe into existence. Each element of creation, from the stars in the sky to the whispers of the wind, reflects a divine purpose and a longing for connection. This profound act of creation sets the stage for an exploration of the relationship between God and humanity, one filled with beauty, struggle, and grace. As the narrative unfolds, we encounter the breathtaking beauty of God's creation. The sun rises over lush landscapes, animals roam freely, and humanity is formed in the very image of the Creator. It's a moment filled with wonder and promise, where the intimacy between God and humanity is palpable. Adam and Eve walk in the garden, basking in the light of divine presence, a perfect union forged in love. Yet, in this idyllic paradise lies a truth about human nature. We are fallible beings, capable of both great love and profound mistakes. The story takes a poignant turn with the fall, where the temptation to seek knowledge apart from God leads to a fracture in the relationship. Adam and Eve's choice resonates deeply, reflecting our own struggles with temptation and the desire for independence. The heart-wrenching moment when they eat from the forbidden tree marks not just the loss of innocence, but also the beginning of a complex journey of human fallibility. The beauty of creation is overshadowed by shame and fear, leaving humanity to grapple with the consequences of their actions. In the wake of their choices, God's response is not one of abandonment, but of grace. Even as they hide in shame, God seeks them out, calling their names with a voice filled with love. This divine pursuit highlights a fundamental truth: despite our failures, God remains committed to us. The grace offered to Adam and Eve is a powerful reminder that we are never beyond redemption. The promise of a Savior lingers in the air, whispering of hope even in the darkest moments. Throughout Genesis, the theme of covenant emerges, a divine promise that binds God and humanity in a relationship built on trust and love. The covenant with Noah after the flood symbolizes a fresh start, a renewed commitment from God to never again destroy the earth by water. The rainbow serves as a reminder of this promise, a vivid symbol of hope that transcends the despair of the past. God's willingness to enter into covenant reflects a desire for relationship, illustrating that even in the aftermath of brokenness, there is a pathway to reconciliation. As we journey further into Genesis, the covenant with Abraham stands as a pivotal moment in the unfolding story. God calls Abraham to leave behind everything familiar and step into the unknown, promising to make him the father of a great nation. Abraham's faith shines brightly, a beacon of trust that lights the way for future generations. Yet, This relationship is not without its challenges. Abraham's doubts and struggles reveal the reality of human nature, how we often waver in our faith. But even in those moments of uncertainty, God remains steadfast, honoring his promises and nurturing the relationship. The complexity of covenant continues with Isaac and Jacob, where God's faithfulness endures despite human flaws. Each patriarch navigates their own trials, embodying the struggle between divine promise and human reality. Jacob's transformation from a deceiver to Israel signifies a deeper understanding of identity and purpose. In the quiet of the night, as he wrestles with God, he is forever changed. This moment encapsulates the essence of faith, the willingness to grapple with our doubts and confront the divine. The blessing bestowed upon Jacob becomes a symbol of hope, reminding us that even in our wrestling, we are embraced by grace. Throughout Genesis, the interplay between human fallibility and divine grace paints a rich theological portrait. The stories of the patriarchs illustrate that the path of faith is often fraught with challenges, yet it is through these struggles that God's grace shines brightest. The narrative invites us to reflect on our own journeys, how we wrestle with doubt, how we face our shortcomings, and how we seek to understand our place in the tapestry of creation. The covenant theme culminates in the understanding that our relationship with God is not merely transactional, but deeply relational. God desires intimacy, a connection that goes beyond rules and rituals. It's about walking together, sharing our hearts, and inviting God into the fabric of our lives. The stories of Genesis remind us that faith is not a straight line but a winding path filled with twists and turns. In our moments of despair, we can find solace in the unwavering love of a God who walks with us, guiding us toward healing and redemption. As the chapters of Genesis unfold, we are invited into a narrative that speaks to the core of our humanity. The beauty of creation, the pain of fallibility, and the promise of grace create a symphony of hope that resonates through the ages. Each character, with their struggles and triumphs, reflects the universal human experience, an exploration of our longing for connection, our desire for purpose, and our quest for understanding. In the end, Genesis is not just a collection of ancient stories, it is a mirror reflecting our own hearts. It challenges us to confront our doubts and invites us to embrace the grace that is always within reach. As we navigate the complexities of life, we are reminded that God's love is a constant presence, inviting us into a deeper relationship. The themes woven throughout Genesis remind us that, despite our imperfections, we are cherished by a Creator who longs to walk beside us, offering grace in every step of our journey. From the ancient dust of the earth, stories of creation and renewal have risen, echoing through the ages. Across cultures and civilizations, the tales of how the world began and how humanity faced catastrophic floods share remarkable similarities, revealing a deep connection among peoples who have gazed at the same stars and felt the same rains. The stories of creation and flood found in Genesis resonate with those from other cultures, suggesting a shared human experience of wonder, fear, and hope. In the Babylonian creation myth, known as the Enuma Elish, the world emerges from chaos as the god Marduk battles the primordial goddess Tiamat. His victory brings order to the universe, culminating in the creation of humanity from the blood of a defeated god. This narrative, filled with conflict and triumph, mirrors the Genesis account of creation, where God speaks the world into existence with a gentle authority. Both narratives reveal a desire to understand the origins of life and the divine forces at play. Yet, while the Enuma Elish presents a pantheon of gods engaged in warfare, Genesis presents a singular, loving God who creates with intention and care, reflecting a profound belief in the goodness of creation. The flood stories also draw striking parallels. The Epic of Gilgamesh recounts the tale of Utnapishtim, who, warned by the god Ea, builds a great boat to save himself and his family from a divine flood meant to wipe out humanity. The floodwaters rise, covering the earth, and after days of torment, the boat comes to rest on a distant mountain. Utnapishtim sends out a dove, a swallow, and a raven to find dry land, echoing Noah's actions in the Genesis narrative. Both stories capture the fear and desperation of humanity facing divine judgment. Yet, in Genesis, the flood is not simply an act of destruction, it serves as a moment of rebirth and hope, where Noah's faith and obedience lead to a covenant. a promise from God that the earth will never again be destroyed by water. The significance of these shared myths lies in their ability to connect cultures through universal themes. Creation stories express humanity's longing to comprehend the mysteries of existence, while flood narratives remind us of our vulnerability in the face of nature's power. These themes resonate deeply within us, touching our fears, hopes, and desires. They serve as reminders that, despite our differences, we share common threads of experience that bind us together across time and space. As we reflect on these ancient stories, we see how the narratives in Genesis were influenced by the world around them. The writers of Genesis, steeped in the cultural milieu of the ancient Near East, were not isolated from other myths. Instead, they engaged with them, shaping their own story of creation and covenant. The echoes of surrounding cultures inform the Genesis narrative, highlighting both the uniqueness of the biblical account and its connections to a broader human story. The creation of humanity in Genesis, made in the image of God, stands in contrast to the other myths where humans are often seen as mere playthings of the gods. This distinction reflects a deeper understanding of human dignity and purpose. Moreover, the shared myths of creation and flood speak to the collective human consciousness. They resonate with our need for explanation and understanding, addressing fundamental questions about life and our place in the universe. The fact that many cultures have similar stories suggests that these themes are rooted in a shared experience of existence. The human experience of creation, struggle, and redemption transcends time and geography, inviting us to ponder the divine mysteries that shape our lives. In the end, the parallels between Genesis and other ancient Near Eastern myths remind us of our shared heritage. They highlight the ways in which humanity has sought to understand the divine and navigate the challenges of life. These stories echo with emotion, inviting us to reflect on our own journeys of faith, our encounters with the divine, and the hope that rises from the ashes of despair. They remind us that, though we may face floods of uncertainty, there is always a promise of new beginnings. The threads of these ancient narratives weave together a rich tapestry of human experience, celebrating the beauty of creation, the pain of loss, and the power of hope that binds us all. The words of Genesis have echoed through the centuries, their legacy woven into the hearts and minds of millions. This ancient text, with its stories of creation, faith, and humanity's relationship with the divine, is more than just a collection of tales. It is a foundation stone, a source of wisdom, and a guiding light for three of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In Jewish tradition, Genesis is the beginning of everything: the creation of the world, the birth of the human race, and the establishment of the covenant between God and His people. The stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are not just narratives, they are the roots of the Jewish faith, the ancestors whose lives shaped the identity of a nation. Abraham's willingness to leave everything behind and follow God's call is a testament to the power of faith. It's a story that has been told and retold, reminding generations of Jews of their sacred connection to God, a bond that was forged in the fires of trial and obedience. The Torah, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, begins with Genesis, and its teachings are central to Jewish life. The laws, customs, and ethics derived from these stories guide daily living, shaping the way Jews see the world and their place in it. The legacy of Genesis is not just in the stories themselves, but in how they have been interpreted, discussed, and lived out over thousands of years. The Midrash and Talmud, filled with rabbinic commentary, breathe life into these ancient words, ensuring that they remain relevant, meaningful, and alive in the hearts of Jewish people. In Christianity, Genesis holds a place of profound importance as well. The creation story, with its declaration that humanity is made in the image of God, forms the bedrock of Christian teachings on the dignity and worth of every person. The narrative of the fall, where Adam and Eve's disobedience introduces sin into the world, is the backdrop against which the entire story of salvation is set. It is in the shadow of this original sin that Christians see the need for redemption, a need that they believe is fulfilled in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The covenant promises made to Abraham in Genesis are seen by Christians as the early signs of God's plan to bring salvation to all people. Paul's letters in the New Testament frequently refer back to Genesis, interpreting the stories of Abraham and his descendants as foreshadowing the coming of Christ. For Christians, Genesis is not just a story of beginnings, it is a story of a promise. A promise that God would not abandon his creation but would provide a way for humanity to be restored to the relationship for which it was made. Islam, too, reveres the stories found in Genesis. The Quran recounts many of these same stories, and they are viewed as integral parts of the Islamic tradition. Abraham, or Ibrahim as he is known in Islam, is a central figure in the Quran, honored as a prophet and a model of faith. His willingness to sacrifice his son in obedience to God is remembered every year in the celebration of Eid al-Adha, a time when Muslims around the world reflect on the virtues of sacrifice, obedience, and trust in God. The story of creation in Genesis, with God's command be, and it was, resonates with the Islamic understanding of God's power and authority. The themes of human responsibility and the consequences of disobedience are also echoed in Islamic teachings, reminding believers of the importance of following the path of righteousness. The stories of Noah, Joseph, and others from Genesis are retold in the Quran, each with its own emphasis, but always pointing back to the central truth of God's sovereignty and mercy. The legacy of Genesis in these three faiths is not just about the stories themselves, but about the way they have shaped the beliefs, practices, and identities of billions of people. These stories are not relics of the past, they are living, breathing narratives that continue to inspire, challenge, and guide. They are stories that speak to the deepest parts of the human experience, our need for connection, our struggles with right and wrong, our search for meaning, and our longing for a relationship with the divine. Through the lens of Genesis, Jews see the beginnings of their covenant relationship with God, Christians see the unfolding of God's plan for salvation, and Muslims see the enduring truth of God's guidance and mercy. Each tradition draws from the well of Genesis, finding in its depths the wisdom and strength needed to face the challenges of life. In a world where division and misunderstanding often seem to prevail, the shared legacy of Genesis offers a reminder of our common roots. It speaks to the unity of the human family, the shared heritage of faith, and the universal quest for truth. The stories of Genesis, whether told in a synagogue, a church, or a mosque, remind us that we are all part of something larger than ourselves, a story that began long ago but continues to unfold in each of our lives. Across time, the stories of Genesis have stirred hearts, sparked imaginations, and invited countless souls into reflection. But the ways we understand these ancient texts today are as varied as the people who read them. In the modern world, interpretations of Genesis are not confined to the pages of a book or the walls of a sacred space. They live in the discussions of scholars, the sermons of preachers, the brushstrokes of artists, and the contemplations of everyday people seeking meaning in these timeless words. The historical critical method emerged as a way to look at Genesis with fresh eyes, asking questions that dig into the text's origins, authorship, and historical setting. This method doesn't take the stories at face value, but instead seeks to understand them in the context of the world from which they came. It's like peeling back the layers of an ancient artifact, revealing not just the story told, but the story behind the story. For some, this approach may feel like stepping away from the sacred, yet for others, it brings them closer to the truth, making the text even more profound. The aim is not to diminish the spiritual significance, but to appreciate the human hands and minds that crafted these narratives, recognizing that their faith, culture, and experiences all played a role in shaping the stories we now hold dear. Contemporary theological reflections offer another lens through which to view Genesis. Today's theologians engage with these stories in the light of modern concerns, grappling with questions about gender, justice, and the environment. They see in Genesis a story that still speaks to our world, offering wisdom for how we might live in harmony with one another and with the earth. The creation stories, for instance, are revisited not just as tales of the beginning, but as reminders of our responsibility to care for the world that has been entrusted to us. The narrative of the fall is seen not just as an account of disobedience, but as a mirror reflecting the ongoing struggle within each person to choose between right and wrong. In these reflections, Genesis becomes a conversation partner, speaking to the challenges and hopes of today, just as it did to those who first heard its words. In the world of art, Genesis has inspired countless expressions of beauty and meaning. From Michelangelo's majestic portrayal of the creation of Adam on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel to contemporary works that reinterpret these stories in bold, new ways, the visual arts have long been a canvas for the themes of Genesis. Artists take the ancient text and bring it to life, using color, form, and texture to evoke emotions that words alone might not capture. These representations can challenge, comfort, and provoke thought, inviting viewers to see the familiar stories in unfamiliar ways. Whether it's the stark contrast of light and dark in a painting of the creation, or the anguished faces in a sculpture of the fall, these works of art reach beyond the intellect and touch the heart, offering a different kind of understanding, one that is felt as much as it is known. Literary interpretations also breathe new life into Genesis. Writers and poets reimagine these ancient tales, placing them in new contexts, exploring their themes in the light of modern experience. Some retell the stories from different perspectives, giving voice to characters who may have been silent in the original text. Others draw on the themes of Genesis to explore questions of identity, purpose, and destiny in their work. Through their words, the ancient text is reanimated, speaking in the language of today, yet still echoing with the timeless truths that have always been there. These literary creations remind us that the stories of Genesis are not static relics of the past, but living narratives that continue to inspire and challenge us. Modern interpretations of Genesis, whether through critical scholarship, theological reflection, or artistic expression, reveal the richness and depth of this ancient text. They show that these stories, though old, are not outdated. They continue to resonate because they speak to something fundamental about the human experience, the search for meaning, the struggle with morality, the yearning for connection with something greater than ourselves. Genesis, in its many interpretations, remains a wellspring of wisdom, a source of inspiration, and a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. In the end, the modern interpretations of Genesis are a testament to the text's ability to transcend time and place. They remind us that these stories are not just about the past, they are about us, our hopes, our fears, our questions, and our dreams. As we engage with these stories in new ways, we find that they continue to speak, offering guidance, insight, and comfort in a world that, in many ways, is still searching for the truths they contain. Genesis, the very first book of the Bible, has found its way into countless forms of popular culture. Its stories have been told and retold, shaped and reshaped, by countless voices throughout history. The narratives from Genesis have woven themselves into the fabric of our world, appearing in movies, books, music, and art, echoing the ancient tales in modern ways. One can't help but feel a sense of awe when seeing the way Genesis has inspired filmmakers, writers, and artists. In cinema, the stories of creation, the Garden of Eden, Noah's Ark, and the Tower of Babel have been brought to life on the big screen. These visual retellings often reach beyond the words on the page, breathing new life into ancient stories. They've made audiences laugh, cry, and ponder the deeper questions of existence. They've sparked debates and ignited imaginations, bringing these age-old stories to a generation far removed from the original texts. Consider the countless adaptations of the Noah's Ark story. The image of a solitary man, tasked by God to build a massive ark to save the world from a cataclysmic flood, is as stirring today as it was thousands of years ago. In movies, this story has been portrayed in various ways, from faithful retellings to more fantastical interpretations. Each time, the core message of faith, obedience, and survival resonates deeply with audiences. There's a certain magic in seeing a story so ancient come alive through the eyes of modern storytellers, connecting the past with the present in a way that feels both timeless and immediate. The influence of Genesis extends beyond film. In literature, the themes of creation, sin, and redemption have inspired countless authors. The imagery and symbolism of Genesis have found their way into novels, poems, and plays. Writers have drawn from these rich narratives, weaving them into their own stories, giving them new meaning and context. The struggle between good and evil, the consequences of disobedience, the promise of redemption, these are themes that have captivated writers for centuries, and they continue to do so today. Art, too, has been deeply influenced by Genesis. From the grand paintings of the Renaissance to modern-day interpretations, artists have long been captivated by the powerful imagery of Genesis. The creation of Adam, the fall of man, the sacrifice of Isaac, these scenes have been immortalized in countless works of art, each one capturing a different aspect of the human experience. These pieces often evoke strong emotions, drawing the viewer into the story and encouraging them to reflect on their own beliefs and values. The impact of Genesis on societal values and beliefs cannot be overstated. These stories have shaped the way we think about the world and our place in it. They've influenced our understanding of morality, justice, and the human condition. The narratives of Genesis have provided a framework for understanding the relationship between humanity and the divine, offering insights into the nature of God and the purpose of life. In modern discussions of science and religion, Genesis continues to play a significant role. The creation narrative, in particular, has sparked intense debate and dialogue. For some, Genesis offers a literal account of the origins of the universe, while for others, it serves as a metaphorical or allegorical tale. The tension between science and religion, particularly around the topics of evolution and creation, has led to ongoing discussions about the interpretation of Genesis. Yet, despite the debates, the stories of Genesis continue to inspire and challenge us, inviting us to explore the mysteries of existence and our place in the cosmos. The reach of Genesis in popular culture is a testament to its enduring power. It is a book that continues to captivate, inspire, and challenge us, reminding us of the timeless nature of its stories. Whether through film, literature, art, or discussions of science and religion, Genesis remains a source of wonder and reflection, connecting us to the past while guiding us into the future. There's a moment in Genesis that lingers, echoing through time, a moment when humanity first gazes into the eyes of its Creator, feeling the weight of existence for the first time. That moment is where so many questions begin, questions that have not only shaped our understanding of God and humanity, but have also woven themselves into the fabric of our lives. Who is God, truly? This is a question that Genesis brings to the forefront, not through abstract theology, but through the raw, intimate encounters between the divine and human beings. In the beginning, God speaks, and the universe bursts into existence. It's a voice that carries the power to create life from nothingness, to separate light from darkness. But it's also a voice that walks in the cool of the evening, searching for Adam and Eve, longing for a relationship with them. The duality of God as both majestic and personal is one of the enduring mysteries that Genesis presents, a God who is both infinite in power and tender in love. Then, there is humanity, formed from the dust of the earth, yet bearing the image of God. What does it mean to be human, to be created in God's image? This is not just a theological concept, it is a question that strikes at the core of our identity. Genesis tells us that to be human is to be endowed with the breath of life from God Himself, to be placed in a world filled with beauty and potential, but also with the freedom to choose. The first humans are given dominion over creation, yet they are also given boundaries that, when crossed, lead to the fall. This tension between freedom and responsibility, between the divine image and human frailty, is one that continues to define us. The ethical implications of Genesis are profound and far-reaching. The stories of Genesis are not just ancient tales, they are moral landscapes where the choices of individuals resonate through generations. Cain's jealousy and the murder of his brother Abel raise questions about the nature of sin and justice. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac brings us face to face with the demands of faith and the complexity of obedience. Jacob's deception and his eventual transformation into Israel force us to confront the consequences of our actions and the possibility of redemption. Each narrative in Genesis serves as a mirror, reflecting the ethical dilemmas that we continue to grapple with today. In a world that often feels fragmented and uncertain, the ongoing relevance of Genesis in contemporary discourse cannot be denied. The questions raised in Genesis are the same questions that drive much of our philosophical, ethical, and religious debates. What is the nature of good and evil? How do we understand the relationship between humanity and the environment? What does it mean to live a life of purpose and meaning? These are not just ancient concerns, They are the questions that continue to shape our societies and our individual lives. Genesis also challenges us to think about the nature of relationships between God and humanity, between individuals, and between humanity and the world. The covenant between God and Abraham is not just a historical event, it is a model of a relationship based on faithfulness, trust, and promise. The story of Joseph and his brothers, with its themes of betrayal, forgiveness, and reconciliation, speaks to the possibility of healing even the most broken relationships. And the stewardship of the earth, as depicted in the creation narratives, remains a call to care for our world in a way that reflects the goodness of the Creator. The enduring questions of Genesis are not easily answered, and perhaps that is why they continue to captivate us. They are questions that invite us to wrestle with the complexities of life, to engage with the mysteries of existence, and to seek out the divine in the midst of the ordinary. These are questions that have no simple answers, but they are also questions that draw us closer to understanding who we are, who God is, and what it means to live a life that reflects the image of God. In a world that often seeks quick answers and easy solutions, the questions of Genesis remind us that some mysteries are meant to be lived, not solved. They remind us that the journey of faith, the search for meaning, and the pursuit of justice are ongoing, ever-unfolding stories. And in these stories, we find not just the answers we seek, but the questions that keep us moving forward, that keep us searching, that keep us longing for something more. Genesis leaves us with a sense of wonder and a longing to understand the nature of God and humanity. It challenges us to reflect on the ethical implications of our actions and to engage with the ongoing relevance of its narratives in our contemporary world. The questions it raises are not just for theologians or philosophers, they are for each of us as we seek to live lives that are faithful, just, and true. And in that search, we find that the questions of Genesis are not just ancient questions, they are our questions, today and always. There's a heartbeat that has echoed through the ages, a pulse that began with the very first words of Genesis. In the beginning, God created. These words have resonated in the hearts of countless generations, not just as a story of creation, but as the foundation of faith itself. The significance of Genesis is not just in the ancient tales it tells, but in the way it lays the groundwork for understanding the world, our place in it, and the divine presence that hovers over the waters of our lives. Genesis speaks to the core of what it means to believe. It opens with the grandeur of creation, a sweeping narrative that paints the cosmos into existence with the brushstrokes of God's voice. This is not just the beginning of the world, it is the beginning of a relationship between the Creator and the created, a relationship that is marked by covenant, promise, and the search for meaning. It is in Genesis that we first encounter the idea of a God who is both distant in majesty and near in intimacy, a God who shapes the universe with his words and who walks in the garden in the cool of the day, seeking out the ones he has made. The themes of Genesis are timeless, touching on the very essence of human experience. The creation narrative reveals a world that is ordered, purposeful, and good, a reflection of the Creator's character. Yet, it also introduces the tension between order and chaos, between good and evil, a tension that will play out in the lives of the first humans and their descendants. The fall of man, the flood, the stories of the patriarchs, each of these narratives grapples with the reality of sin, the consequences of disobedience, and the possibility of redemption. These are not just ancient stories, they are reflections of the struggles that every person faces in the search for meaning, purpose, and forgiveness. But beyond the individual stories, Genesis serves as a foundation for understanding faith itself. It is here that we see the first glimpses of the covenant, a promise that God makes to humanity, a promise that He will be their God and they will be His people. This covenant is not just a contract, it is a relationship, a bond that is rooted in love, trust, and faithfulness. It is a covenant that will be tested, but one that will endure, shaping the identity of a people and the course of history. In the modern world, where faith is often questioned and where the stories of the past can seem distant, Genesis remains a touchstone, a reminder of where it all began. Its narratives speak to the fundamental questions of existence. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our relationship to the divine? These are questions that are as relevant today as they were in the ancient world, questions that continue to challenge and inspire those who seek to understand their place in the universe. The significance of Genesis today is also found in its universality. While it is deeply rooted in the traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, its themes are ones that resonate across cultures and religions. The idea of creation, the struggle between good and evil, the quest for meaning, these are concepts that are not confined to a single faith, but are part of the human experience. Genesis invites us to see the connections between these traditions, to recognize the shared stories and the common questions that unite us. In a world that often feels fragmented and divided, Genesis offers a vision of unity, a reminder that we all share a common origin and a common destiny. It challenges us to look beyond our differences and to see the threads that bind us together, a shared humanity, a shared responsibility for the world we inhabit, and a shared search for the divine. The legacy of Genesis is not just in the stories it tells, but in the way it has shaped the understanding of faith for millions of people throughout history. It is a book that has been read, studied, and meditated upon for centuries, a book that has inspired art, literature, and theology. It is a book that continues to speak to the deepest longings of the human heart, offering a vision of a world that is both broken and beautiful, a world that is in need of redemption, but also filled with the presence of a God who creates, sustains, and loves. As we reflect on the significance of Genesis today, we are reminded that it is more than just an ancient text. It is a living document, one that continues to inspire, challenge, and guide those who seek to understand the nature of faith. It is a book that invites us to enter into the story, to find our place within its pages, and to recognize that the questions it raises are not just the questions of the past, but the questions of our own lives. In the end, the significance of Genesis is not just in what it tells us about the past, but in what it reveals about the present and the future. It is a book that speaks to the timeless truths of faith, a book that offers a foundation for understanding who we are, why we are here, and what it means to live in relationship with the divine. And in that understanding, we find not just the answers we seek, but the courage to live out our faith in a world that is constantly changing, yet always in need of the enduring truths that Genesis so powerfully conveys.